Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Wim Lou. You are listening to the Raptors Reaction Podcast, which is a presentation of ToonieBet online sportsbook and casino. Raptors win tonight, 143 to 127. Why did this game have to take so long? Why did they call so many fouls? Scott Foster, please, you are wasting people's precious time. Of course, Darko also with a sicko challenge, up 12 with a minute left, but still challenged and successfully overturned the call, by the way. To give the Raptors possession. That led to a crazy possession where Jamal Shead shot it literally 1 foot inside of the halfway line and somehow managed to bank it in. I mean, how do you overshoot it from half? But seriously, yeah, he banked it in from half court for his only 3 of the night. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that bit of good luck will break him out of this dreadful 3-point slump. But yeah, I mean, this is tanking basketball, Raptors have seen plenty of this. We're not strangers to this. Certainly, we have done our share of what Utah is doing right now, in terms of holding out everybody healthy, in terms of signing guys you never heard of. I'm not going to lie to you. I follow the NBA, religiously, and I had no idea who this person was, but there was somebody named Bez Mbeng out there. That's B-E-Z, first name, last name M-B-E-N-G. I'd never heard of this guy. I legit spent at least 10 minutes today just looking up who Bez was. Bez played for Yale, played in the Ivy League, looked like a defender, went undrafted, and now he's on his second 10-day with Utah, averaging 5 points per game, and he's on minus 34 tonight, playing 31 minutes, which, by the way, he's been playing 35 minutes a game. So yeah, tanking basketball, and the Raptors obviously use this opportunity to rest their own guys. Second half of back-to-back. No need to extend Jakob Poeltl. IQ got plantar fasciitis, they said, so he didn't play. Hopefully that's not a long-term thing for him. But no need for IQ. Brandon Ingram, before the game, he's like, oh, my heel kind of hurts. All right, Brandon Ingram doesn't play either. It doesn't matter who you throw out there, quite frankly, because, as long as the Raptors had some level of competence in this game, the Raptors are going to roll. And honestly, this game should have been a 30-point win, except for Utah having a random, 16-0 run. How do you have a 16-0 run over 2 minutes? I don't know what Toronto was doing during that stretch. That's when the Raptors legit put the expendables out there. Markelle Fultz signed literally today, playing the second game on the same day because he already played the Jazz's G League team already. So he played this morning, and then he played in the evening as well. He's out there with Trayce Jackson-Davis, who just could not hit a single free throw. Grady Dick was out there. James Sabato was out there. Mobile was out there. I guess they ripped off a 60-0 run. But realistically, I think first and foremost, very, very professional performance by the Raptors, aside from just a little bit of a finish at the end. Came out, took care of business. They set a franchise record with 49 assists tonight. They assisted on 49 of their 54 field goals. I mean, that's unbelievable. But, I think that's a credit to how the Raptors shot the 3-ball. Of course, they waited for this day to randomly pop off for 23s. They hit 20 of 37 from 3. It's nice to see the Raptors actually knock down some 3s. But basically, as long as they ran any play with somebody cutting to the basket, that high-low feed was getting made, and the Raptors were feeding off of that. Jamal Shead primarily being the beneficiary there. 15 assists for Jamal. That's a career high for Jamal as well. And, again, I think, credit to some of the leaders of this group. First off, for Scottie to even play in this game. If anyone deserves a game off, it'd be Scottie. And I guess he earned himself a game off because he didn't play the fourth quarter. But Scottie came out there, took the game seriously, played defense, knocked down shots, hit 2 buzzer beaters, which was fun, a pull-up 3 at the end of the first half, and then a turnaround jumper at the end of the third quarter. Goes super efficient, 8 of 10 from the field, basically, flirts with a triple-double, 20 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds for Scottie Barnes. Jacoby Walter was sensational tonight, knocking down the 3s. Actually, with Jacoby, I'm just really proud of him, to see him, continue to be positive, continue to fight. This season, again, start of the year, being in training camp, seeing that he was with the third unit at times, seeing the start of the season where he wouldn't come in until late. Ochoa was ahead of him in the rotation. Grady was definitely ahead of him in the rotation. It wasn't a guarantee for him to play every single night. To see the way he's built to get stronger and stronger towards the end of the year, he's done a great job on the defensive end. That's always been his calling card. Obviously, Ochoa gets moved. That helps to free more minutes. Grady slumps. That, again, pulls more minutes. But Jacoby's aren't all of this, man. And especially of late, the confidence to see Jacoby, where he's, getting his footwork right, confidently rising up for the threes. I mean, he's obviously in a hot stretch right now. Tonight he goes 6 of 8 from 3. But this is a glimpse into the future of what Jacoby Walter can be and will be for the Raptors. And I know it was just against the Jazz, but this man was playing with supreme confidence and knocking down threes, still playing a team game as well, not forcing it too much, but even occasionally flashing a little bit of playmaking as well. Nice little pump fake, drive the closeout, draw a second defender, dish it off to RJ for a bucket. Like, plays a team game, but plays a really, really good 3-and-D game. And I think the stronger he gets, the more that he builds on the momentum of his first 2 years. The Raptors were supremely high on Jacoby Walter. And again, he had a lot of competition at his position at the start of the season, but he has been unfazed and he's coming out strong and he's finishing the season strong. So credit to Jacoby. But honestly, like it was kind of it basically was a professionalism game. Our guy's going to take it seriously. And I thought RJ played well. Again, just free buckets for RJ. Every time he made a cut, he got the ball, he scored. It's the perfect game for RJ Barrett. Knocked out 4 or 5 from 3 as well. At one point, he was hopping up and down in excitement. Love to see that from RJ as well. And then Sandro, who has, been pretty quiet of late, has like at least statistically, one of his best games of the season. 23 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 5 steals and a block, 9 of 14. It just felt like every time you looked up, Sandro was stealing the ball at half court or Sandro was streaking ahead on the play at half court. And, as you can imagine, this young Utah team that's actively looking to lose turned the ball over on pretty simple plays, and the Raptors being so aggressive. It's a formula for a lot of runouts. And honestly, by the end of it, I thought Sandro, it looked like he was running out of dunks, He looked like he was in a dunk contest. At one point, he's like, there's a little mini double clutch. Here's a one-handed dunk with no dribble in the three-point line. And here's a two-handed dunk. I don't know. I've seen Sandro actually put down a nice little between-the-legs windmill in dunk, in warm-up lines before. So I was actually really hoping that nobody would run back in transition for Utah and Sandro could pull out one of those too. But, yeah, Sandro, knocked down the threes, even after missing free throws, got his own put back courtesy of Scottie as well. It's just a lot of guys were able to get right. Even Grady Dick coming off the bench, dropping 13 points with 6 assists for Grady. That must be a career high for Grady in terms of assists too. Like it was just kind of easy. I mean, honestly, this is what happens when you play like a tanking lineup. Like some of these guys you're just not familiar with. Obviously, Ace Bailey, him because he was the 5th pick of this last year's draft. And, it's been great to watch him just turn into a shooter like this. I mean, he's been on a really hot tear. Again, I'm not really watching Utah Jazz games, but I am watching at least highlights of Ace Bailey because I liked, obviously, his scoring potential coming out of college. It's everyone kind of knew that. But, I mean, he's certainly a dead-eye shooter. Tonight, he's 7 of 10 from 3. But, I mean, aside from that, there just wasn't, with all due respect, NBA talent around him. And watching some of these guys, like when you start signing guys to 10 days, playing them 35 minutes, and you don't even notice them. The only reason I noticed Bez Mbeng is because it's got a name I've never heard of. Like, when you sign guys like this, like, you are literally, like, this is very active tanking. I mean, even Kennedy Chandler, the only reason I don't know him is because I watched him on the 905. You know what I mean? Like, this guy's, like, 5'10". The Raptors were, like, doing little duck-ins, and it was a bucket every time. It's just whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I'm happy the Raptors got the win. Obviously, it keeps them in the race here. This was always an auto win, and they took it. So they only have a couple more of these the rest of the season. There's still some pretty hotly contested games the rest of the way. Raptors, I think, only have 11 games left on the season and one more game left on this road trip. But tonight, they took care of business, and there's really no complaints. So realistically, want to boil it down. 2 things I wanted to talk about in particular, carve time for. Number one, Collin Murray-Boyles. returned from his thumb injury. That was always a possibility in this road trip. And then number two, which is, arguably more exciting, is that the Raptors actually made a signing and filled the 15th spot by bringing in Markelle Fultz, the former first overall pick. But first, before I talk to you about both of those two developments with the special guest that is now waiting in the lobby here, I want to let you guys know that, hey, Raptor fans, you guys can win something really big right now. Calling out Raptor fans, Lotto Max and the Toronto Raptors have officially launched their max contract fan contest, where one winner will be given the chance to win a personalized prize pack where they can call the shots for it, and it's going to be worth $50,000. So what does that look like? Well, how about 2026, 2027 Toronto Raptors season tickets, or maybe even better, 5 courtside games to attend next season? You might be able to high-five Glow. Or you could get a chance to attend all home playoff games in this year's run. Who knows how many that will be? It could be one, it could be two, it could be many more than that. But visit the Raptors app to learn more and enter today. And don't forget to opt into emails to hear about future chances to win. No purchases necessary, 18 plus, Ontario only. Ends March 29th, 2026. Grand prize winner to select one prize from each of Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. Visit the Toronto Raptors app for full contest rules, prize details, and how to enter. Okay, to talk about Markelle Fultz, the signing of the former number 1 pick to a 10-day contract, is somebody who, last time I saw Markelle Fultz, he was talking to this man. We're going to bring in S. S, what's going on, dog?
What up, man? How's it going? Good win. Easy win for the Toronto Raptors. And we got to see Markelle Fultz, man.
Yeah, well, this is it's not the first time you see Markelle Fultz. I just saw you interview this man after he hit the game winner at the 905. By the way, you did a great job, filling in for Lindsay, who's been slacking. Okay, she's in Florida. I told Lindsay she's darker than me right now, which is very, very worrisome.
If there's one thing I can't call Lindsay, is a slacker. Oh my God.
She's slacking.
She's like the hardest working person I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. Anyways, but World Baseball Classic, I know she was very busy with that. I tried to pull off the Lindsay fit because she usually matches. She's got some colorful outfits. Went with the green It's St. Patrick's Day. Anyways, we did get to see Markelle Fultz hit a game winner, which was awesome. Yeah, man.
We did. Yeah.
I thought that was sort of what he's done for the 905 over the last month or so. Truthfully, it's been like a steady presence for him and for that team, especially since Chucky Hepburn has been out. They have been so desperate for just organization, like someone who can bring up the ball and create for them. And that was him for the 905. It was kind of him tonight too for the Raptors, right? Like you saw first possession, he was in there, had that nice pocket pass. He's working and operating in the pick and roll. They were going under on a lot of his screens, which was that's fair enough. You're going to have to live with that with Markelle. But yeah, it's cool to at least see him try and work within this Raptors team. I saw him a few times talk to Darko throughout the game, like, hey, we're trying to work this action, or we're trying to do this thing, which is good to see. Seems like he might get some run here over the next 10 days. But I don't know. What do you think of Markelle debut, man?
Well, it got off to a nice start, and then I actually disagree with you because I thought it kind of got a little disorganized towards the end, and maybe it's because I just saw the fourth quarter, and Darko was like, all right, I got to put Jamal back in the game, basically just to be like, just shepherd all these random sheep around. But no, I do think that Markelle, it was exciting to watch him. I think it's just, obviously it's not like the excitement of a number 1 pick coming in, but I still think that he's a very unique athlete. Like the way he moves, he kind of has this shiftiness about him. Like you don't necessarily know which way he's going to go. I don't know. He just slithers around in a way that I think is really fun to watch. He got off to a really nice start. He fed Colin Murray-Boyles twice, 4 buckets. Just to set the scene here. So Raptors signed Markelle Fultz to a 10-day contract. That's actually going to cover 6 games, which I guess is a new thing for 10 days now. They're like, hey, it's like a buy one, get one special. But, you got tonight against the Jazz. Then he'll be with the Raptors against the Clippers, the rest of the road trip, then the Pelicans, Magic, Pistons, and Kings. After that point, the Raptors can make a decision. They can sign him to another 10-day. They go another direction with the 10-day. You never really know. By the way, he is eligible to play for the playoffs because he wasn't on another team this year.
Yeah.
And for the 905, so he's been playing down there for 6 games, including earlier today. He had averages of 10 points, 5 assists in 22 minutes. I think actually that's really what I wanted to ask you, S, was you actually got to see him in person. Like, how does he look physically? Because I think that's the biggest question.
Yeah, when he first signed on with the 905, it felt like he hadn't played basketball in a little bit. And the 6 games that he played with the 905 was really about him getting into rhythm. Truthfully, as soon as he signed there, it felt like all indications were, okay, they're going to call him up to the Raptors at some point. And so it mostly felt like they were trying to get him in rhythm. So he starts most games for the 905. Again, he runs the offense. He orchestrates things for them. The jumper is obviously still not there, and that's a big question mark for him moving forward in his career if he were to stick around with the Raptors. But from organization standpoint, he got into rhythm decently quick, and then obviously capping it off with that game winner that he had. He had one of his best games on this current road trip that the 905 are on against the Rip City Remix. He had like 17 points, which was cool to watch. But it look for him, and to your point about, like, let's be real. Today, the Raptors played the Salt Lake City Stars, like this was basically a G League game for him, for Scottie Barnes, for everybody, so this was nothing different from what he sees with the 905, bro. Outside of Ace Bailey going off, there wasn't any competition that was any different, so I feel like this is very clearly the Raptors saying, hey, we could use some extra guard depth over this next week or so while Emmanuel Quickley is dealing with this plantar fasciitis. We'll see if that ends up being something serious or not. But ultimately, I am curious to see how it looks against better competition because
for sure.
Can't take much from a game against the Salt Lake City Stars.
Yeah. I was going to say, most games he's not really going to play, at least immediately. But I do think it's a really cool story. In fact, here's the game winner you're mentioning here. This is the game that you were covering.
Yes. Shout out my guy, Randy Irvin, play-by-play. Okay.
Hey, Randy held it down, man.
Yeah.
Woo! Little spin.
Yeah.
And by the way, this was a great game. I know, like, I know it's like quote unquote just G League, but this was actually, I mean, you were there to cover it, but this was actually a really fun game. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
By the way, the 905 are going to be in the playoffs, and playoffs start March 31st or April 1st. Could be a home game. Will, you got to pull up to Saga, man. Come hang.
I will be expensing one Uber. Thank you, Amol Delic. You will be seeing that invoice from me, sir.
Thank you.
No, actually, you know what? I do want to pull up, actually, because
man.
905 have had a great year. I'm actually, as an aside, I'm so enamored with Coach Andrew Jones,
bro,
of the 905. Like, for people who don't know, can you describe Coach Drew's like vibe?
I'm not being ridiculous when I say he is one of the most fiery, if not the most fiery head coach I've ever seen in my life. Like, I don't know. Tibbs, everybody thinks of Tibbs and Tibbs screaming on the sideline, like, horns, whatever. Yeah. No, man, it doesn't even compare. Like, Drew Jones is maybe Nick Nurse. You know how Nick Nurse used to always get in the ref's ear? That doesn't really, that's not really the vibe. He is just so fiery. He is like, it feels like he wants to play in the game. That's the level of
it does.
like emotion that he plays with and he coaches with. He's awesome. He is such a great vibe for the 905, and you need that with these developmental guys to, like,
for sure,
get them ready every single night to play, especially with the amount of roster turnover that they deal with. Like, it's pretty cool to watch that guy coach. And it's been 2 years now of him being the head coach. He's been awesome. It's been really cool.
No. He's, especially for the 905 program, they're really trying to revitalize the program. They just obviously opened a new practice facility as well. But I want to give Coach. He's just, I don't know. One of the other games I was watching, he legit, I think he called a timeout, subbed off Elijah Martin, and then, like, the two of them just started yelling on the sideline. I'm like, yeah, as a sicko, I'm like, yeah, that's the shit I love, man. That type of intensity is incredible.
They're both like that. They're exactly. Elijah Martin and Drew Jones, they both match each other's energy so well. It's great. And then there's, like, Mobo is a very, like, quiet spoken, like, soft spoken dude. So you'll see that energy not match, and Drew Jones will be like, "Come on, Mobo!" Like he's trying to encourage him.
Yeah.
It's really fun to see him kind of coach these guys up throughout the season for sure.
No, he's done a great job, and that's one of the reasons why the 905 have had so many call-ups on the season. But I mean, in addition to that, I mean, again, going back to Markelle, his story is really cool, man. I mean, you know, number one pick, but he obviously couldn't really fully reach the potential due to the injuries and the circumstances. Honestly, a lot of it is really unfortunate. I do respect, though, that, like, even after all this, and he's made his money, you know what I mean? Like, if he walks off in the sunset like a Ben Simmons, and it's just like, all right, cool, like, you know, it is what it is. You know what I mean? I gave it a shot. I hit some high highs. I couldn't get it done injury-wise, but I think the amount of love of the game you got to have to, like, say, you know what, I'm gonna go to the G League, and I'm gonna take a 10-day, and I'm gonna still try to, you know, come back after not just the shoulder injuries that he had, which was like a very rare thing, thoracic outlet syndrome. Basically, he had
nerve issues, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like that is so hard. I mean, we just saw Landry Fields, for example, in Toronto like a decade ago. Like it's a different injury. He had it in his elbow, but you know, that ends careers. He also had an ACL injury with the Magic, and he keeps bouncing back. And I don't know. I'm rooting for him, man. I'll play some more highlights if you have anything else to say about Markelle Fultz. You know?
I mean, look, I've always been a fan of his. I really was a big fan of his when he was in Orlando and the Raptors desperately needed a backup point guard. I was like, let's see if the Raptors can get Markelle Fultz. That was one of the guys that I was kind of targeting for them in their free agency if they could get a guy like that. But, you know, he's here now. I think to your point, it'll be cool to see him get more opportunity and more run. And from like a human perspective, he came to the 905 a game before he debuted. They were playing 2 games over a weekend, and he got there. He watched them play. He like met all of the organization people. He met the GM. Obviously, he met the coaches, and he was just hanging out and kind of getting used to the environment. He seemed like a really nice guy, and I think from what I've spoke to with Drew Jones and basically everybody around the 905 organization, he really matches with what the Raptors look for culturally from players, which is like team first guy, family guy who like really is down to be invested in the group. And you even saw that tonight on the bench. Like he was dapping up every single member. It felt like he was dapping up the coaching staff every time he subbed off. Like he's really locked into that. So he's obviously has that character aspect on top of maybe being able to play some hoops, man. I like the fact that he can get to the paint. I like the fact that he can put pressure on the rim. He's a pretty long defender, so that will help with the Raptors' point of attack scheme. It depends on whether, you know, he can be viable enough offensively. I like some of the cutting that he did off of Scottie today, though.
Yeah. I mean, look, he's a very smart player. Like, you know, it's cerebral. You know, I think the Raptors also were interested in Lonzo, I think. That's what I think Grange kind of reported, that they might go that direction. This is kind of the same idea. I think Lonzo maybe is like a quicker passer and stuff like that. But Lonzo also had a really difficult year in Cleveland this year. I thought he was actually going to be a nice addition for them. Clearly it didn't work out. Yeah. But, you know, like, it's difficult. And I think it's especially hard because you're jumping onto a moving train. Like, you're literally joining this team in Utah randomly. You know, like, it's the most random place to just meet up with the squad. But
yeah, man.
I think being a guy with like high basketball IQ, I think will always make things a lot easier. My last question on this is just like, you think this pushes Jamal Shead a little bit? You know, I mean, I don't think this is why Jamal had 15 assists today, but
maybe it was though. Maybe, you know.
I don't mind. I mean, good, man. Jamal had no competition at all.
Yeah, I know, man. It's like, it's one of those things with Jamal where he clearly is so important to what the Raptors bench needs, which is organization. Like, just run the offense whenever BI is off the floor or IQ is off the floor. And it's like Scottie led lineups with a bunch of shooting and Jamal. Like, you need Jamal to be a secondary ball handler for you. And if he's off ball, you need him to make quick decisions because truthfully, like the above the break 3-point shooting, he's not scaring anybody by doing any of that, right? Like, even when he's knocking down his shots, there's no fear in the defense that's going to be applied just because he's spacing out there. So he has to make quicker decisions. I loved when, I don't know about you, but when him and Quick were paired earlier on in the season, and it felt like Quick was working off of the like closeouts and everything that Jamal was creating. And then on the other side, Jamal was attacking, getting into the paint and finding shots for IQ. that's the recipe for Jamal to be like the efficient version of himself moving forward. I hope it happens I feel like tonight's game, truthfully, I don't know how you feel about this, but this is like a great game for the bench. A little pick-me-up for everybody. Everybody's confidence is probably sky high now. Jamal, 15 assists. Jacoby obviously going off. Mamu having that type of game, as you were talking about earlier. Like, this is good to go into the final stretch of the season with,
Yeah. I mean, we'll see again how much that holds up, especially last game of the road trip against the Clippers. Clippers are actually playing quite well, especially after adding Darius Garland. Matherin's been hooping for them, and obviously Kawhi is Kawhi.
It's a fun team.
But it is a fun team. Yeah, I was going to say, I really enjoy watching the Clippers these days, which feels like admitting to a sin, basically. But, yeah, I mean, I'm happy for Markelle. I'm rooting for him. And, everybody go watch S's stuff. Everyone knows who you are, S. You know what I mean? We see you all the time. We see you on commercials. See you on short films.
You know
what?
At
The Athletic.
You know what's funny? I'm actually shooting a commercial tomorrow.
Oh, are you serious?
I'm breaking.
Are you on an NDA or something?
I don't know if I'm on an NDA, so I'm not going to say who it's for.
Okay, all right, I'll text you.
Yeah. No, it's silly. You're gonna laugh when I tell you, but it's. Anyways, I'll see you guys. It'll be very fun.
Streets are saying Rick is back.
It is a sports commercial. It is a sports commercial. I will say it's sports related. It's
good. You carved out a niche.
Yeah. I'm like promoting for these commercials that they need to run up the check, man.
That's another offline conversation. Thanks, S. I appreciate you, man. Good luck tomorrow, all right?
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
All right. Big thanks to S for popping on. What we're gonna do is drop S right now. And head to a little commercial break. I think I really want to talk about CMB still and his return. And also want to take your questions. But first, I want to bring you a message from one of our beloved sponsors.
This segment is brought to you by Table Fare and Social. Get your pregame bites and after-work drinks at Table.
It's a great location, right across the street from the arena and just steps away from Union Station and the Metrolinx bus terminal.
Will, I love my wedge salad, but there's plenty of options at Table. What should we have next?
Oh, we could have salad for days, my friend.
Oh, you're talking about salad days? I love salad days, man. They got a different salad for every day of the week. You can never get tired of the options there.
Oh yeah, I heard about this place. This was your go-to lunch spot forever. You always said the lettuce was so crispy.
Man, it's so crispy and fresh, and now this can be your go-to meal before Raptors games.
I like that. Grab a pregame salad at Table Fare and Social right across from the arena.
Okay, back to this game. Raptors win 143-127. Again, thanks to S. Baraheni from Ras Republic for popping on. Of course, S also does his own post-game stuff as well, which I'm sure people know. But over at Raptors Republic, he does the film room review after every game. That takes a lot of work, man. As one post-gamer to another, salute you, dog. But anyway, we're going to take your questions here. But first, I actually wanted to talk about CMB as well. CMB returning. I'm super happy to see Colin Murray-Boyles again. Sometimes you just forget how much force he truly plays with. Like, this guy plays hard as hell out there. Tonight he comes back. Obviously he's still got the thumb issue, still got the thumb wrap, but I mean, it looks like he's better. In 17 minutes, he has 9 points, 4 rebounds, an assist, a steal, 5 blocks. In 17 minutes for Colin Murray-Boyles on his return. This guy is just, I think part of it is also like the game itself. Like, obviously the Raps are winning like easily, and for him, I'm sure it's like not having played for a couple weeks, like just how refreshed and how energetic he might look. But he was like just a wrecking ball out there. Like, he was sacrificing his body, flying around for these blocks, going hard as hell to the basket. Him and Markelle pairing in that pick and roll a couple of times. But Jamal also feeding him in the pick and roll, just being fearless. And look, I think it's, the situation with the thumb is what it is, right? Like, it doesn't seem like there's anything else to do for it other than rest it. It's a pain tolerance thing. They rested it for 2 weeks. And who knows? You might have any innocuous play that hits its thumb. It's basketball. You're going to get your finger slapped. That happens once a game. Happened to RJ here tonight. But, man, is it fun to watch CMB back. It's watching Scottie come out the game and watching CMB come in, and then watching them play together. Those have been like some of the irreplaceable moments for the team. I mean, the Raptors simply don't have anyone else to come in and even give Scottie a bit of a break on what Scottie does defensively, except for when Collin's in the game. And yeah, I mean, there's more to him than the defense. Tonight, I actually liked that he took his strong to the basket a couple times. A couple of no calls as well, but again, I'm not complaining. This pod's already past midnight. And it's Raps Jazz, but like, yeah, it's just really exciting watching Collins back. And again, like, just how much of a badass he is, the attitude that he plays with. Hopefully he's able to just, protect that thumb as much as possible and just go out there and continue his strong rookie season that we've seen all year. So let's take your questions in the call. Karem has been collecting your feedback, and yeah, let's get to it, man. First, Jacoby's been balling. Yeah, Jacoby, man. It's he's so smooth. The way he rises to the 3-point shot. I think the one thing with Jacoby is like, the defense has always been good, but it's kind of a question of like, how much can he scale up his offense? There's always a competition between him and Grady in terms of, who could be more impactful. And Grady certainly does a lot of things offensively. He's more athletic going to the basket. He's maybe more of a threat in transition where he's just a blur. Grady goes for the most athletic finish, whereas Jacoby likes to pump fake. So they take two different approaches. But it was great to see Jacoby play with the confidence that Grady has been playing with offensively. Because I think Jacoby already does way more than Grady possibly could on the defensive end. But you usually see a pretty reserved version of Jacoby. And just seeing him again, the 1-2 steps, basically moonwalking into position to set his base for the 3-point shots, not turning them down, taking them the right ones in rhythm, but also having the wherewithal not to jack shots and pump fake and drive and still play a team game. It just makes you really excited because he's peaking and coming on strong at the right time for the team, and the team desperately needs it. So proud of Jacoby, man. Next question. What's the rule behind him, being Markelle, being eligible for the playoffs because of another team? Never heard of that. Can you break down a little bit, bro? Yeah, I think it's like if you were signed to a team, like let's say you started the season, and I think you had to be waived, basically dropped by, I think, March 1st, to then be eligible to be signed on to be playoff eligible for another team. I think it's sort of to prevent essentially teams adding a guy like literally 2 weeks before the playoffs. Now, granted, I think with Markelle, he hasn't played with any other NBA team this season. He's just been, I suppose, rehabbing or figuring out whatever opportunity, and he got a chance to play for the 905, and obviously that led to him playing with the Raptors. Obviously, that's a coordinated effort, but yeah, he hasn't played for any other team, so he's playoff eligible. Of course, he's not actually signed to a full-term contract, so I believe he needs to sign at least a standard contract for the rest of the season. I don't think he can just roll into the playoffs on 10 days. That's not a thing. So, next question here. 11 games remaining. How many do the Raptors need to win to stay in the playoff spot? You know what? I forget the numbers, man. Again, the playoffs the standings are coming down and they're so tight that what you really need to know is the Raptors play 2 more games against Miami and 1 more game against Orlando. That's largely going to decide what their playoff hopes are going to be. Obviously, Atlanta's coming on strong, and Atlanta's to be considered as well. Thankfully, the Raptors swept Atlanta this year, so they have the tiebreaker. But, of course, you got to watch what happens there. But realistically, it's a really tight play-in race, or I guess playoff race at the end of the roster there. And, yeah, I think 2 of, like, Orlando, Atlanta, Miami, Toronto will make it into the 5th and 6th spots. And the Raptors obviously have been in 5th largely for a long time. Hopefully the Raptors are able to hold on. But that game against Orlando, it's basically double whammy. Not only is it important to sort of maintain that distance from them, but I think if they beat Orlando, they actually get the tiebreaker on the season because they're right now currently on 1-1. And then against Miami, the Raptors just need to win one of them to secure the tiebreaker because the Raptors already beat them twice this year. But Miami is also coming on strong as well. Although they lost to the Spurs tonight, and Orlando also lost to the Pacers tonight. And by the way, a huge credit to former Raptor Pascal Siakam. Spicy P. It's been a long time. I don't feel like I talked about you all season, but thank you from Raptor fans to Mr. Pascal Siakam. Not only were you an NBA champion for us, not only have you invested in the Raptors community, not only are you one of the best success stories ever to come out of Toronto, but Pascal Siakam, even after getting traded off the Raptors, dumped off the Raptors, still out here helping the team. Even with the Pacers tanking, Pascal still drops 37 points for the Indiana Pacers. And on top of that, he also has the game-saving block. It was a 2-point game. Paolo Banchero taking it strong to the basket. And Pascal Siakam, along with Jay Huff, deny Paolo at the basket. No foul call. The Pacers finally win a game, and it just happens to be against the Orlando Magic. Spicy P, from all Raptor fans, we thank you so much. Heat and Magic also have tough schedules remaining in the last 10 games. Yeah. I haven't looked at their schedule too much, so. Orlando has lost 5 in a row. Yeah, I mean, and by the way, they keep losing at the buzzer, too. Like, obviously, we saw them lose at the buzzer to the Lakers. Again, thank you to Luke Kennard for hitting the 3 off the inbound. I think the Lakers on the first try on that play tried to go for a 2 to tie and force OT, and I think Paolo might have blocked it or something. I think Braun tried to go up, and I think he got blocked. But that only set up the game winner instead for Luke Kennard. By the way, the Raptors have been pretty lucky in this playoff race for positioning, because Amen Thompson also had a huge block to save the game against Miami as well. So a couple of things have been happening. But yeah, seriously, thank you, Pascal. CP is arguably a top 5 Raptor. You could make the case. I don't think he ultimately gets to the top 5, but obviously Kyle's number 1. I think you could put any combination of Vince, DeMar, Pascal as 2, 3, 4. I'm kind of cool with all of those. I think I've made the debate. I made the case that Pascal was a more important Raptor than Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh obviously led the franchise and got the team to its first Atlantic Division banner, which we just saw go up last episode. And people might argue that Chris Bosh was a better player than Pascal. I think probably he was slightly better, especially considering how good he was defensively. Although I got to say, the defensive part blossomed way more in Miami than it was in Toronto. In Toronto, it was actually considered, well, I don't, whatever. That doesn't even matter. But I could hear the case for Chris Bosh over Pascal. I would say that Pascal was a number 2 option in a championship run. The only championship in franchise history. And Pascal's also gone to all NBA teams and all-star games and started them as well. So I think there's a debate there to be had. Personally, I'd take Pascal over CB4. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess when you really break it down like that, I guess he could be a top 5 Raptor. Yeah, you know what? My bad, guys. Siakam is easily a top 5. What are we doing? I agree, actually. He is top 5. There you go. Yeah, he's 5. He's 5. Franchise record 49 assists. I mean, this is how you should play against the Jazz. Honestly, when the game started, I thought the Raptors might have like 40 or 50 points in transition, which is kind of absurd. What did the Raptors ultimately end with? Only 25 fast break points, really? Wow, okay. But they had 60 points in the paint. The Raptors also hit the 3s as well. Yeah, it was just kind of really easy to get buckets. But again, like, they're playing essentially a G League team. So, yeah, 49 assists, man. I was watching the Jazz broadcast, and the poor announcers sounded so depressed. It's actually funny. I don't know if it was just the game presentation or whatever, but it felt like a lot of Jazz fans were like actually pretty excited. I don't know. It looked like a good time. They must have some promotion if like a guy misses 2 free throws in the 4th quarter, everyone gets free something. Because like Trace Jackson-Davis missed a pair of free throws and the fans were going nuts. Yeah, I don't know. People were like really, really happy for Ace Bailey and the 3s. I think they understand what it is. My only hope for the Utah Jazz is that they don't have to tank again next year, because they've really gone through, next to like the Sixers tank, like this might be the second most aggressive tank we've seen. It obviously started with them like dismantling the Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell team, but like, man, I don't know. It's been a couple years of this, and it's end of the year, you always see like quality players like Lauri Markkanen and Keontae George and Jaren Jackson Jr. They're always just sitting on the sideline getting like, yeah, they're getting free Chick-fil-A. Okay, that might be the spiciest food you can get in Utah, so just be careful out there, kids. That's all. But yeah. Are the Jazz expected to be what the Raptors are this year? I guess. I mean, they'd have to make a pretty big jump to get to above 500, particularly in the West. I don't. Their talent's interesting. Like they certainly have like a lot of bigs that they can play through. I mean, Walker Kessler as well. I think they got to re-sign him at this point, but I think he's restricted. But like, yeah, I mean, they'll probably have Kessler, Markkanen, and Jaren Jackson Jr. This will be the biggest front line since the Raptors started Jermaine O'Neal, Andrea Bargnani, and Chris Bosh. Actually, similar makeup of a trio, to be honest. One defensive-minded guy in Walker Kessler. In this case, that's Jermaine O'Neal. One two-way player in Chris Bosh, who's kind of like a 4, stretches the floor as well. And then, European gunner, which is Andrea's. Well, I guess Lauri Markkanen is like the best possible outcome for Andrea Bargnani. So, and then they got Keontae surrounding all that. Ace Bailey was lighting them up. Yeah, Ace Bailey. I mean, that kid could score. That kid is still so young as well. Yeah, I mean, I guess not a lot has been made of him because of the fact he's been hiding in Utah, and he had a slow start at certain points, and he's never gonna be one of those guys that advanced stats because like he's kind of a bit not Ingram-esque because he's not like Ingram. I guess he's the closest comp would probably be like Brandon Miller, but like there's something about him where it's like he mostly scores and doesn't do that much else, so it always sort of like knocks your overall effectiveness. But scoring is the hardest part of the game. That kid is nice, man. That kid can get buckets, and he could clearly just play off ball too. Like mostly he was just shooting catch and shoot threes today, and he could not miss. So. Will, do I think the Raptors should sign Cam Thomas for bench scoring and just for the regular season? I'm not going to lie to you. There are times where I get lulled into the temptation of Cam Thomas. It's like, look, there's a guy who could score 20 right there. Who on the Raptors bench can, score like that, like Cam Thomas. It does really concern me that he couldn't make it work on the Brooklyn Nets. And to say what you want about the Nets, obviously they're probably like the least talented team in the league. But like, Jordy Fernandez is like, he's been cooking with anything that they give him, right? Dennis Schroeder, okay, I'll turn him into a positive player. Give me Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges, and I'm going to turn that into like 8 picks for the team when they eventually get traded. When you gave me Michael Porter Jr., who everyone's killing and slandering off of a terrible year with Denver, including flaming out in the playoffs, he's going to come in and have a borderline playoff year for me. It's like, if you can't make it work there, that's really tough because, realistically, they didn't trade him they didn't cut him because like they can't use him. They cut him because they're like, we can't stand you. And then he goes to Milwaukee, and it's like, dude, Milwaukee is the island of misfit toys, right? Look at their backcourt right now. It's like Kevin Porter Jr., Ryan Rollins, a lot of guys like people have tried elsewhere. Like who's that guy? Who's like the big Jack guy? Sims. They just have a bunch of random guys, and like some guys are actually making a go of it, like Milwaukee's pretty depressing unto itself, but it's like Milwaukee's giving a lifeline to be like, hey, come here. Doc Rivers is like, hey man, I've had Lou Williams before, I've had Jamal Crawford, and now I got Cam Thomas, and it's kind of a damning statement because like a couple months, like 1 month into the experience, they cut him as well. So I don't know, man. I think it's tough because I'm not trying to say he needs to be humbled because I obviously don't know him personally at all, but the situation just looks really bad, man. You flame out twice. I think the issue's on you, right? So, I don't know. I think in theory, he would be a nice fit for what the Raptors really lack. But in practice, people probably can't stand him. And again, also, the Raptors, like, we just had 49 assists tonight, right? Like, the whole identity of the team is ball movement and whatever. Like, obviously, sometimes you want some more bucket getting. That's why the Raptors went from what they were previously and they got Brandon Ingram in. But that's different, man. It's different. I don't know. It's just different. Hard to gauge what Fultz is capable of in this type of game, to be honest. Yeah, of course, man. I mean, again, like, guys, Markelle Fultz played this morning, joins the team, plays against Utah with teammates he's never played with before in a system that he, quite frankly, doesn't know just yet. He doesn't even know the strengths and weaknesses of the team other than, like, maybe a casual knowledge of basketball. He literally rolled up to the game like this. I mean, this is how I roll up to hoop runs, man. Just a full Nike tech suit and then just a pair of shoes in hand. Like, this is the most baller walk-in possible. He didn't even have an outfit for the game. He's like, I guess I just played. I'm going to go home for a shower, put on sweats, grab my shoes again, and just go straight back to the gym. So, Yeah, I wouldn't judge him based on this. I mean, I don't even think it's a guarantee that he ends up playing that many minutes, right? Because assuming that IQ's plantar fasciitis thing isn't too big of an issue, and again, we've been seeing him play pretty steadily, so hopefully nothing changed. But as long as IQ and Jamal are out there, like, I don't really see the need for a third point guard too much. But at the same time, I do think that, like, if it does apply a little bit more pressure for Jamal, if Jamal has one of these random crash outs like he did against Phoenix the other day, where he had, again, his first shift, he picked up 3 fouls, missed 2 open threes, and picked up a technical foul. It's like, if that happens, then at least you have someone else. Because one of the other parts of watching that Suns game, again, that only happened last night, but watching the Suns game in the fourth quarter, you're like, okay, is that Garrett Temple running point for them for a whole quarter? It's like, that doesn't need to happen. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know. I'm rooting for Fultz, man. I really, really respect the fact that he still wants to hoop even after all the things that he's gone through. Fultz seemed very attentive when Darko was talking to him on the sideline. Well, I mean, yeah, I hope so. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, are you coachable? Can you fit in? You know what I mean? That's one of the things I like. It's probably why Cam Thomas is not going to get picked up anywhere else. So, thoughts on Markelle? Well, I really liked his calming presence and guiding guys to where to be. A little rusty, but I think really high IQ could be a steady presence. Yeah, I mean, he's also like more experienced. Like, he's played a lot. I think someone pointed this out, and it was pretty astute observation. But like, I think if you play 10 years of service time in the NBA, you're guaranteed like benefits for life and stuff. And whatever. Like, he's also made a lot of money. But of course, like, benefits are benefits, man. If you don't ever have benefits, you know, you'll definitely miss them. But yeah, I think for Markelle, like, he's experienced enough. He's played for a couple organizations, Philadelphia, Orlando, had a cup of coffee in Sacramento last year. He obviously has played a ton of basketball, and he's got enough smarts at that position. I think it's the big question was like, was he able to do it physically? You know what I mean? And where is he at health wise? At least based on the first game, he looked like he was moving around well. So RJ with 18 in the third quarter sealed it. Yeah, that was good too, because I think the Raps are only up like 10 or something at halftime. And look, I mean, whatever. You knew the Utah Jazz were gonna, you know, like, fold eventually, but like, you still wanted to be up more than 10 at halftime, and that took Scottie hitting a 3 at the buzzer to even put it to 10 points. What you really wanted to see was the Raptors have a strong third quarter, and of course, the Raptors specialize in strong third quarters. Once again, the Raptors scored over 40 in the third quarter. I think that's like the 10th time they've done that this season. It's by far their best quarter is the third quarter. They actually tied a franchise record for most points in a quarter with 49 in the third quarter there. And yeah, a lot of that was just RJ coming out, knocking down threes, RJ cutting to the basket. Him and Scottie, you know, were able to just like basically play off of each other. And a lot of plays were really simple. It was just like, okay, RJ's got a small guy on him. He's going to make a cut to the basket. RJ's going to pass it over the top. Like, just really simple stuff. And of course, RJ, you know, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I salute both RJ and Scottie the most from this game, because they could have easily rested as well. You know, like, Brandon's taking a night off, Jakob's taking a night off, IQ's taking a night off. Like, you could have probably taken all 5 guys to have the night off in terms of the starting 5. But the fact that they clocked in, they did their shift, they played well, they established the lead, and then they handed it off to all the young guys to close out. That's what you wanted from these guys, right? So, yeah. Mamu was great trying to fire up the boys early on. Yeah, I mean, Mamu's funny because, like, he plays a lot off passion. Like, he's not necessarily one of these even keel guys. He's kind of more of the opposite. Like, when he swings high, he gets really high, and when he swings low, honestly, he feels like he's really low. It's a confidence thing. Like, whenever you hear Darko talk about him, Scottie talk about him, even Jamal talk about him, like, they're always talking about Mamu's confidence in a way that gets brought up that's different than other guys on the team. It maybe takes like a certain like level of like cajoling, or even for him to really understand how much he can impact the game. And today, again, the opposition was poor, whatever, but seeing him get out there with the defensive activity, 5 steals, I think that's a career high for him. You know, just guys like maintaining the standard, right? You could easily, like, you know, I don't know, just go out there and just dog it. You know, it's the Jazz in March, like on a second half of back-to-back, and they're tanking and they're playing guys you never heard of. For him to have 5 steals, it's the same way I feel about how CMB had 5 blocks. It's like, you're still taking this thing seriously. And honestly, I would say, you know, nobody might have took this game more seriously than Sandro Mamukelashvili. So I was really happy for him, man. Will, do I think Sandro signs with another team this summer? You know, that was actually interesting, because I've been operating off the understanding and maybe a bit of a level of informed assumption that the season will just begin next year with an expanded salary cap. Because usually revenue has been steadily rising of late, and so it's not unusual to see like small bumps in the salary cap from year to year. The reason I'm bringing this up is because Shams put out what the salary cap's going to be next year, and for the first time in a while, the NBA is actually going to contract their salary cap. It's only by 1 million, but like they contracted the salary cap by $1 million going into next year, which I was assuming the cap was going to jump a little bit. That will give enough room for the Raptors to give more money to Mamu. I suppose that this kind of like applies across the board to other teams as well. So it's not an uneven advantage, but at the same time, I do think that like I guess I would have felt more confident in re-signing Mamu. Again, like, let's just see how the playoffs go, and then let's see what the market is. Mamu certainly played well enough to earn a raise for himself. He deserves that. And I want him to continue here in Toronto. But, yeah, let's see how it goes. I was a little surprised with the news with the cap this year, though. All I heard from the higher-up Potters and journalists saying was Sandro is the best discount contract, so it makes me think he's for sure getting a raise. Yeah, I mean, sure. But, I mean, I think for a lot of teams, like, and this happens for a lot of players, unfortunately, but once you start signing the discount contracts, like, guys, it's very hard for your salary to, like, bump up back to, like, the level that you're at. And I think the prime example of this is, like, Norm Powell. Like, it feels like he's been underpaid pretty much for the last, like, 6 years. Basically, his last year with the Raptors, basically over the life of that deal, he signed with Portland. Then he got moved to the Clippers on that deal. Now he's been moved to Miami on that deal. It's just like, it's tough. I hope that doesn't happen for Mamu, but yeah, he has been a good value, and I would appreciate if Zach Lowe kept that secret to himself rather than saying it on most episodes. So Mobile looked impressive too. I'm happy for Mobile. Like he's been the forgotten man. Literally, no one has said a single thing about Jonathan Mobo all year. Nobody asked about him in press conferences. You haven't seen one news report about him other than him. He's going down to the G League or he's getting recalled. Realistically, his position has been taken over by CMB and Sandro, and to a lesser degree, Brandon. Plus, Scottie's been healthy all year. Knock on wood. So it's just like you're not gonna play him above any of those guys. But he's been a good soldier. He's playing for the 905. He's played hard, and the last couple of games he's gotten a chance because they're blowouts. And yeah, he's looked solid. 2-2 on this road trip. Getting the win over the Clippers will make this road trip a win. Yeah, I mean, it'll be difficult. Like I mentioned, the Clips are actually quite formidable these days. I think they owe their pick to OKC, so they have no incentive whatsoever to tank down the stretch here, and the Clippers are in the middle of a play-in battle. Currently, as of right now, they're 8th in the Eastern Conference. It's going to be very difficult for them to catch Phoenix at 7. But I think there is a huge value in being 8th rather than being in the 9-10 game, because you're in the 7-8 game, you only need to win 1 game and then you're in the playoffs. If you're 9-10, you got to win 2 games to go to the playoffs, right? So on that front, they're only a half game ahead of the Portland Trailblazers. Both teams are 1 game under 500. Clips actually have a positive point differential in the season, which I guess is not that surprising. They're basically 500, but like, yeah, I mean, they're a very different team. Trading James Harden, trading Zubac, but they've got some they got some decent guys, man. I mean, Jordan Miller actually killed the Raptors last time the Raptors played them. He's been good for them as well. Chris Dunn, Surly, lockdown defender. He's going to give both Jamal Shed and IQ a lot of issues. He might even be on Brandon Ingram when the Raptors see them for the last game of the road trip. Benedict Mathurin, I don't even, he's had how many 20 balls on the Raptors. He obviously can light up off the bench at any given moment. And then Darius Garland's been hooping, man. I just watched highlights of him. Like, I don't know, when Garland's really on like that, he's like Kyrie-esque. Like he's got the 3 ball, but he's also so shifty and he got the handle. Yeah, I don't know. So that's a tough game. I still think the Raps. I mean, and obviously Kawhi playing like a top 5 player in the NBA is also quite. Is probably the headline item, but yeah, I mean that will be a huge win actually if the Raptors can finish the road trip with the win against the Clips. What is the league gonna do about tanking teams? It was fun, but not competitive ball. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess we asked this question a lot the last couple of years, right? Because we saw it for the last 2 seasons with the Raptors, going through a 25-win season, going through a 30-win season. I think that the tough part is, how do you maintain some sort of identity, some sort of purpose through it all? And I think the Raptors are actually one of the more optimistic cases of that, right? Because you saw meaningful improvement to young players. You saw an identity form around the team, even though they were losing. Like, the Raptors' defensive identity this year can be traced back to last year. Last year, the Raptors, for the last 40 games of the season, so literally the last half of last season, the Raptors were like third in the NBA in defense. And now, I think the Raptors are like 6th in the NBA in defense. Everyone's like, wow, what a jump from last year. But that jump happened last year. And it's a continuation of that. So to form anything out of a tank is really difficult. But yeah, I mean, you're also seeing the downsides of that. And again, we saw that in Toronto, right? There were games where, like, we had to watch, like, Jordan Wara, number 1 option hoops, Javon Freeman Liberty, DJ Carden, you know what I mean? DJ Carden, you know, who else we have? You know what I mean? Like, Jamias Ramsey. We're watching Muhammadu Gay. We're watching Malik Williams. We're watching Orlando Robinson, Colin Castleton, Bruno Fernandez. We're watching who are these random wings that came in, man? Some of these guys I'm starting to forget at this point. They were that forgettable, you know. We got some random guards as well in that stretch. Jonte Porter, obviously, you know, doing his thing. It's just like crazy bad basketball and like completely meaningless, inconsequential basketball. And I think that's the hard part, right? Because like you're lowering the integrity of your product. I mean, look, there's nothing really going to stop teams from doing it because there's such a strong incentive. You get a lottery changing player, like it'll change your whole franchise. But it's also like, what are you showing on the other end, right? There has to be some level of like competence. And when teams are intentionally signing bad players to fill out the rosters, it starts to like really go the other way. You know, Jalen McDaniels, we saw him with the Raps. Who else we see? There's one guy in particular I'm thinking of. For some reason I can't identify him right now. Well, number 8, Kobe Simmons. That's who it was. Yeah, Kobe Simmons. We had Kobe on the team, man. Come on, this is crazy. Like, we had Bruce Brown, first option hoops. They got pretty dark, you know what I mean? And the only hope is that you're able to break out of it and eventually come through, but it's difficult. We've seen some really cynical tactics that like completely make you want to turn the television off, you know. And the Raptors, honestly, I gotta say, they pioneered a lot of it, right? You know, the league is trying to crack down on it right now, but the Raptors were the first team to be like, we're gonna trade for a guy in Brandon Ingram, and it's basically, we're going to sign him to free agency, but we're not even going to let him play for the rest of the season, you know, because of an existing injury. You know, like, that's basically what the Wizards were trying to do with Trae Young and with Anthony Davis. And that's what the Jazz were trying to do with Jaren Jackson Jr. And, of course, the league actually stepped in and forced some of these guys to play occasionally. You know, when the Raptors, you know, did the thing where they started pulling, you know, starters and playing sort of like very, very suboptimal tactics to win in the middle of games, you would think, okay, it's a close game, I want to put my players in. You know, teams were doing that this year, and they were getting shamed for it, and rightfully so, to be honest, because like, you are literally tanking a game in the middle of a game. Of course, that actually, ironic for the Raptors, that didn't work out last year, because the Raptors somehow closed the game with like AJ Lawson going on a run, and then Jacoby Walter hitting that crazy game winner in Orlando. But like, yeah, there's a lot of these cynical tactics, you know, and I think where I really like start to like get ill is like when teams start signing not even the best players from the G League to come up, like, because if you really think about it, the worse of a player you sign and give minutes to, the better of a chance you have to lose that game. So teams aren't even incentivized to go in the G League and try to find somebody who's been hooping down there and give them a chance to be, you know, playing at a high level and at least taking a look at these qualified players. Sometimes they're signing guys that just not even the best of the G League. So we're intentionally watering down the product to such a great degree that it's, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it's, you know, you can say what you want, man, but it's nasty hoops to watch. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Do I think Markelle will continue after the 10 days if he does well? Yeah, I'm sure if he contributes in any meaningful way in those 10 days, they'll probably try to retain him. I do feel a little bit bad for Elijah Martin. I'm not totally sure what they want to do on that front. I'm hoping that they keep going with Elijah. I again, even watching 905 games, I mean, say what you want about Markelle, and I'm rooting for him as well, but I'm certainly rooting for Elijah more. I've watched a lot of 905 games this year. He's been way more impactful than Markelle has. He's less experienced, that's for sure. We're talking about a rookie versus a 9-year vet. But yeah, I don't know. I somehow I do feel like Elijah getting screwed in all this, but whatever. Yeah, to this point, I wonder how this feels for Martin and Lawson. Dudes have been grinding all year, have been two of the best G Leaguers, and have been better than Fultz when he was with the 905, and then see him get a call up. I'm sure that's very hard to accept on many levels. But again, once you sign to these two-way deals, the Raptors are incentivized to say, well, we can do everything possible, take a look everywhere else, and then we'll come back to you. And even if we don't come back to you, I think they still have restricted rights over Elijah. I don't think they could do it for AJ because he's done 2 ways. So I think he's just unrestricted at this point. But it's like on a human resources level, it's very shitty. I agree. But teams are very incentivized to take every last little bit of advantage they can. And that includes from their employees. That includes from the lotteries. And it's very hard as a fan to root for these outcomes of unfair management. At the same time, you understand it completely. Do you know what I mean? Because you are obviously siding on the side of the team. But yeah, I don't know. It's awkward. Who will the Raptors put out for the last roster spot? I think they're kind of cycling through, right? They're trying to figure that thing out. So yeah. Tough losses, easy wins, builds champions. Hopefully. It is crazy that over a 24-hour span, the Raptors were down 30 to Utah, up 30 against Utah and down 30 against Phoenix. Like a 60-point swing in the basically 24 hours is pretty incredible. By the way, we're gonna take a couple more of your questions, but before we get there, I wanted to take a look around the rest of the association, and this next segment is a presentation of ToonieBet online sportsbook and casino. Thousands of slot games and live casino at your fingertips, and a sportsbook made for Ontario. Get your game on with ToonieBet. So I'm looking ahead. End of the season is coming up shortly, and one of the awards that I've never personally bet on is Sixth Man of the Year. It's a pretty wide open race this year. I was a little surprised to see even some of the top candidates, but Jaime Jaquez Jr. of the Miami Heat is the favorite. He is the top leading scorer off the bench right now, so that's typically how Sixth Man of the Year goes. But yeah, he's plus 130, and then Naz Reid plus 250, Reed Shepherd plus 600, Keldon Johnson plus 700, and Isaiah Stewart plus 1100. Honestly, out of all that group, I would probably go with Keldon Johnson. I haven't really heard too much of a campaign for him, but look, when it comes to Sixth Man, you're not going to hear huge campaigns regardless. I've got to say, the Spurs deserve a lot of awards for what's coming to them this season. They've just wrapped up another big win tonight over Miami as well. And Keldon Johnson is bringing him off the bench, an energy guy, a culture guy, still a scorer, plays big. I mean, Big Body Johnson, I think that's one of his nicknames. He shaved the head with Wemby. He's good. And he's, I would say, actually the most impactful player in this group. I think Isaiah Stewart at plus 110 will be pretty big, but the fight and the Pistons slow start to the, I don't know. Maybe you can give it Isaiah as well, but again, out of all these teams, I feel like the Spurs are just primed for just a sweep at the awards. The Spurs feel like one of those movies at the Oscars is just they're getting so much hype that they're gonna rack up multiple Oscars, best actor, best supporting actor, best sound, best design. It just feels like everyone loves the movie so much that they're giving them every award. And that's kind of how I feel it's going to be for the Spurs at the end of this season. So yeah, if you give me plus 700 on Keldon Johnson, I'm going to take that. So, yeah, make sure you hit up ToonieBet.com for all your sports betting needs. ToonieBet is licensed and regulated by the AGCO and iGaming Ontario. 19 plus Ontario only. Please play responsibly. All right, Kareem, what other questions we got from tonight's game? Is TJJ just not that good, or is it not enough reps? Was more hopeful when we traded for him, just not seeing it. yeah, again, like he's trying to jump on a new team mid-season. He's still young. I'm not gonna lie, I am a little surprised at sort of how poor he's looked in some of these like spot minutes, and the Raptors have been pretty hesitant to give him minutes. Maybe this is, again, like Darko sees this behind the scenes and he's like, well, why am I gonna play him if he's gonna struggle like this? But yeah, it was a bit of a struggle ball out there. Hopefully he's able to turn it around. I don't know. A lot of it is just missing free throws. Not gonna lie, this game had the intensity of a rec league game with 50-year-olds. Yeah, it did feel like that for sure. At no point was I stressed. The whole game I was watching it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna make the chill choice. Speaking of which, I do have to make the chill choice. So, I want to let you guys know that basketball can be quite stressful, and yeah, not this game, but maybe in general, basketball can be stressful. And Coors Light is the chill choice, and of course, Raps playing the Clippers. That will decide whether they have a losing or a winning road trip here on the West Coast. And it's going to be late. It's going to be pretty late at night. You know what I mean? You might have to kick back. You might have to, like, stay awake, have a coffee in the morning. But the night before, I'm probably going to put a couple Coors in the fridge, wait for that mountain to magically turn blue. And that means the beer is as cold and refreshing as the Rockies themselves. So when the game heats up, why not make that chill choice by grabbing a crisp, refreshing Coors Light? Find Coors Light near you. Visit CoorsLightShop.ca. Celebrate responsibly. You must be of legal drinking age. All right, Ram, what else we got? Obviously an amazing Jamal game, but his scoring needs to take a step. I'm not sure I can see any pure point guards thriving in the modern game on any other team is Jamal as valuable. On any other team, it's hard to say. I think, honestly, you put Jamal on teams that, like, I can see actually Jamal fitting on a couple of teams, to be fair. Like, he's kind of a classic backup point guard, like, plays defense, changes the tempo of the game, plays fast. Mostly looking to distribute, not trying to dominate the ball. Like that does fit a lot of teams, and obviously he's a great culture guy too. But yeah, I mean, probably my favorite thing with Jamal is like he does a little quick crossover, and then he does like somehow is teleporting into the paint, and then once he causes a rotation there, he's good at spraying him out. But I do agree with you. Like the fact that a point guard can't really generate that much in a half court setting is certainly a liability. Even though I think his impact metrics are positive on the season, I think that like effectively having a backup point guard who's small, doesn't generate offense is a liability, especially on a Raptors team that does need more of that. But I also think that like sometimes when he forces it, it just doesn't feel, I don't know, it doesn't feel right. I think the best Jamal games are the ones where he starts off and he's already collected like 4 assists in his first shift, and I guess some of that is not up to him. Part of him being a creator is that he mostly is trying to like deliver something to a guy. He's not actually creating the advantage himself most times. But that's what we got right now, and we got to roll with it. I think honestly Jamal's had some good stretches on the season, and I'm sure for a young player too, it's hard for him confidence-wise to go through a struggle like this. But again, the team needs him, man, and it's good to see him respond tonight with 7 points and 15 assists. So as a general fan of the NBA, I'm excited for next season. A lot of tanking teams this year won't have their pick anymore, so they will be trying Wizards, Jazz, Nets, Mavs, Pelicans, Pacers, and Hornets. Well, I don't even think the Hornets were ever tanking this year, to be honest. I think that they were just like, they got off to a bit of a tough start with injuries, and obviously they're still young and trying to make that next step. But, I do wonder about next year because, like, every year there's always teams tanking. Like, I think once you get to that point of the season where you're like, all right, we realize we're not going to do much of any consequence, you kind of have to make that decision. And some teams just basically logically say to themselves, like, okay, we're going to tank. I mean, even the Raptors, for example, like 2 years ago, the Raptors were winning 25 games and they were tanking like, basically as bad as the Utah Jazz are doing right now. And they were tanking at the end of the season, and the Raptors didn't even get their pick that year because, it was like top 8 protected, and it unfortunately landed in the 8. So it's just like, teams are always going to basically say like, look, there's nothing left to play for, so we're not going to play for much. But I do think one of the other things is just like, apparently the next like 2-3 drafts are going to be pretty weak. So that might also influence. Like this year's draft's quite strong, so people are trying to tank, It also depends on how strong the drafts are any given year. I am excited to see some of those teams actually try to be good. Jacoby being a legit 3-and-D guy for us, proud of the kid. Yeah, same, man. Same. Markelle seems like a very smart player. Is that his reputation? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that like he's a I don't know. It's a 10-day, right? So we'll see sort of ultimately what we get from him. But yeah, I mean, I guess the best case, if I'm projecting like top end case, is like, remember what happened with Sean Livingston's career? Like Livingston had like one of the most gruesome injuries on the basketball court, broke his leg, and then that kind of really cut short his potential. But then he came back as a guy who could, jumbo point guard, similar to Markelle, like bigger point guard, right? Livingston was like 6'6", 6'7". But like he had the mid-range jumper. He was a very cerebral, smart player. Obviously played a huge role for the Warriors, and even before that with the Nets, he did a great job with the Nets too. The Raptors actually played against Sean Livingston's Nets in that first year Raptors made the playoffs under Kyle and DeMar. Yeah, like I think that type of player, that's probably the best ever trajectory possible for Markelle. But I mean, again, like it does require a couple of things, like not only having the skill set, and by the way, Sean Livingston got to the point where like his mid range was like straight up automatic. So I mean, Markelle's got a bit of that, but it doesn't necessarily feel as much as Sean Livingston. Like Livingston was getting like 20 points in the finals against the Cavs, off just straight mid range. It was incredibly impressive. But again, that's like the best possible scenario, right? So Fultz get them new dimension in spacing and cutting. I don't know about spacing. I mean, I think spacing wise, like you even saw today, teams are going under on screens. Even in 905, I think the last game they put like Hanson Yang on him, that they put a center on him. Basically, they gave him the Andrew Bogut treatment. So that's a bit damning, but there's more to the game than just like hitting shots and spacing. And then lastly, Markelle's college highlights were ridiculous, literally looked like James Harden. I think that's one of the hardest things about being the number one pick is people just can't ever let that go. That's one moment of your life. That's one frame of your life. If it happened any other year of a life instead of your draft year, people don't hold on to it. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's a part that you're always sort of compared to. And look, I think it's like meant in a good way. It's complimentary, but I think that like holding on to that for too long is not productive, right? Like you got to deal with whatever scenario it is. I think for right now, you're not going to get anything close to a number one overall pick, but that's okay. Like you still got to live your life and try to make the best of it. So that's what I'm hoping, and I hope that people are able to make peace with it, because it's really hard to just always attach yourself to the expectations that you come in with, I'm saying that from personal experience. Does a chain mean anything tonight? You're right. What does a chain mean of tonight? Of course, man. Cram, stop starting questions, man. I'm done here. But let's put the team chain out there. Jamal Shed getting that chain back on him for the 15 assists that he had tonight. Proud of you, Jamal. And obviously he's like I said, he's like everyone's little brother on the team. Everyone loves Jamal, right? So everyone rightfully celebrating him. Here's the locker room photo. Markelle Fultz, get ready to figure out a pose for these, because this is what the Raps do. Okay, we win and we take a photo to commemorate. Grady Dick with the flex. Jameson Battle with the flex. CMB finally healthy and back in there. Chucky Hepburn, always in a Nike Tech. This man will never not be in a Nike Tech. So there he is. And Jacoby, what's Jacoby doing? Hold on. Jacoby doing the Cash Patel, Alex Wong eyes. Alex, I hope you get back safely from New York City. Terrible time to fly in and out of New York right now. Just terrible time to fly to the United States in general. But yeah, Alex was supposed to come back today. Hopefully he's able to make it back tomorrow. I already told him to go to the airport 4 hours early. And then Mamu looking like he's 1B. I think Mamu's standing on something at the back, but yeah, I don't know. It's nice to see the whole team like this. I think the only guys that are really missing on the two ways, right? AJ and Elijah are still playing with the 905. So there you go. Nice win for the team. We're going to wrap out here with our 3 stars. By the way, tomorrow we're actually going to come back in the afternoon. We're going to do a rare afternoon pod, but we're going to actually talk more about the Raptors with friends of the program, Vivek Jacob and Joe Wolfon. Look for that. We're actually going to go live at 5 p.m. We're going to try one of these afternoon pods. Maybe, watch it on your commute home from work. I heard there's like, you can, I think if you're a Rogers person, you can get like service on the subway these days, but yeah, check it out there. We have a couple discussions planned for you there. But to wrap out your 3 stars from tonight's win over Utah, All due respect to Jamal, who got the chain here, I'm going to give the 3 stars. I think it's pretty clear who the 3 stars were today. I'm going to give the first star to Sandro. Sandro was very engaged, very, locked in on the defensive end, played super fast in transition, 23 points, 5 steals for Sandro, knocked down 3 threes. It's good to see him knock down the threes again. Just in general, play like he is today. A good Sandro game makes such a big difference for the Raptors, and he was able to fill in nicely for Jakob in the starting lineup. Scottie Barnes get your second star, 20 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds, 8 of 10 from the field, including 2 buzzer beaters, which was nice to see from Scottie. Feeling no pressure at all. And then your third star, Jacoby Walter, 21 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, a block, 7 of 10 from 3, 7 of 10 from the field, including 6 of 8 from 3. Jacoby played an amazing game, and keep going, Jacoby. You're doing amazing, sweetie. Just keep going, okay? And then your Gerald Henderson award for who randomly torched the Raps. I'm not gonna lie to you, there are other guys that played well. Obviously, Ace Bailey had 37. And really, Ace Bailey should get it, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I continue to be just absolutely enthralled with Bez Mbeng. Bez Mbeng, I might have to get this jersey. I don't know. Can you get a Bez Mbeng jersey? But yeah, this is this is unbelievable. He keeps playing a ton of minutes too. That's the incredible part. He's like a defensive guy. He signed to like a 10-day contract. He's playing like the last game he played, he played 45 minutes. The game before that, he played 35 minutes, 31 minutes. Most people don't even know who this guy is. I was shocked to see him in the starting lineup. Like, I feel like I have like a decent knowledge of basketball, and this is one of the games where it just made me question, like, do I really know hoop? Like, if you don't know Bez Mbeng, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, let's go with Bez, man. Bez, you are gonna get it from me. So, yeah, Bez is the Biz, man. No, I'm serious. I'm keeping an eye on Bez, man. I don't know. It's Bez. If you say his name 100 times really quickly, it almost sounds like Bez Mbeng. But yeah, Bez, you're getting the Gerald Henderson Award tonight. Someone's got to commemorate this memorable game from you. So thanks everyone for listening. Leave a like on the stream. Thanks to Ez for popping on late, in particular to talk about Markelle. Welcome to the team, Markelle. Hopefully it's not just a 10-day. Hopefully you're able to really, really do well in your time here. And but most importantly, the Raptors take another day off, and then they're in LA to close out their last West Coast road trip of the year. Hopefully they're able to beat the Clippers. That will be a much tougher game. Hopefully we're able to get our guys healthy and refreshed for that one. Brandon, Jakob, IQ, you took the night off. Hopefully you're back and at your best the next game, because we're going to need you for that. And yeah, good game all around. Dubs in the chat for Krem, etc., etc. We'll see you guys. Peace.